We're back for part two. So something I've brought this conversation up a few times with people, but never really went into it. And it's something nobody has ever talked to me about when you're growing up. I'm talking about older people, like from the time I was a child to now. Like you like Nowadays I might hear somebody say a little one liner you know, time is crazy or time is flying. You hear phrases like that, or my perception of time seems off. But man, I'm gonna do my best to describe the way time feels for me. And maybe people don't talk about it because a lot of people don't experience this. I want to ask people, and I'm going to. Definitely going to here in the near future. But my perception of time and ordering things correctly and how much time has gone by has been really off. Really off for a long time now. And it's progressively getting worse. I don't remember most of my childhood. I know it existed. I don't remember most of my teenage years. I know it existed. I don't remember most of my 20s. And I don't remember most of my 30s. I'm 38 now. And I don't remember most of what I did as little as a couple days ago or a week ago, yesterday. But I know it existed. There's a lot of things in my life that I know I've gone through, and some memories stick out like a sore thumb, and some of them it's one detail, and the rest of the memory is just a blur. Um, I was an active addict for I don't know, 20 years, and I know that contributes to it a lot. You know, especially since I was a blackout addict. Like alcohol was the main one that caused me to black out, but I blacked out a lot. Xanax when I was addicted to them. You're blacked out, but you're unconscious. You're not asleep, you're awake, you're doing things. But the best way to describe it is you're unconscious and on autopilot. It's scary. It's scary as fuck. I see people all the time, in the comments I watch a lot of police videos, and I see people all the time commented on the drunk videos, and they're so confused, why would somebody in their right mind, oh, let me guess, they used to be a good person or they still are, and it's all kinds of different drunks. There's some that have been, they're addicts off the street. Sometimes it's a dude that is not even an alcoholic. He just made a mistake one day, but he's you know, out of his mind, and different, and everybody's different. Like everybody's acts weird. Some people act weird. Some people are belligerent and violent. Some people are, almost comatose. There's all kinds of different drunks, and you hear people all the time not really understanding what's going on, and they'll blow a 0.32, or something like that. And I've been there. I've blown. well over a point 0.3. And guess what? I was unconscious. I was still like doing things not very well. I was still talking, but I mean, and this will go on for hours. You're still drinking. You're still, you're not, you literally have no control over your brain or body. And this isn't me like building up to an excuse for anybody because there is none for anything you do that's not right, anything you do wrong. We're still on the topic of time distortion. But like, I watch these videos, I'm like, I bet you that person's blacked out. Bet you they are. And like, there's things that'll happen in the video, like, I know what snaps you out of it too. Like I'll see a guy fall into the lake, and I'll be like, I bet you that he snapped out of it for a few minutes and remember at least a little bit of that part. So that's one way you can have time distorted. Because like you did things happened, time passed, the world kept revolving. You were a part of it, but you don't remember none of it. If I had to take a wild guess of how many times I blacked out over the last 20 years, at least a couple thousand. And I don't even know where to begin with the number. Because there's a lot of days in 20 years. So, and I'm not saying I was blacked out every day for 20 years straight, no. But there was definitely periods of my life where it was happening every day for months straight. And even when you're not blacked out, you're still a fucking loony bin. So, 20 years, thousands of blackouts. You're doing brain damage to yourself too. The brain damage from the drugs and the alcohol, you know, blowing a .32 or higher or whatever, at that point, the alcohol is doing brain damage to you. I've been addicted to hard drugs, like like ecstasy. I couldn't think of it. That turns your brain to Swiss cheese. Other hard drugs and marijuana these days is, especially when you're living in a state like I am where they're using loopholes to sell shit. Ain't no telling what damn chemicals you're smoking if you engage with that. The other loophole drugs over the years, like spice, that one was a really bad one for me. Turned me into the even bigger loony bin. Salvia, the other things that over the years have come and gone, triple C's. You're constantly doing brain damage to yourself. And I haven't had alcohol in 3.5 years. But the biggest thing I have been intake and consuming and intaking, like all throughout the time of my sobriety from alcohol, the main one's been marijuana. There was that time I got my tooth cut out surgically and they gave me oxy, and yes, I abused it, but thank God I only had like, a week's worth. But I will admit, they didn't last me a week. And then you got like traumatizing events. And most of mine were during those active years. And I guess the brain like has ways of like suppressing like a lot of those memories, and I'm just now getting to the point of realizing I've been traumatized. That if that makes sense. You always like think of traumatized, like for me, I always think of traumatized and I think of other people. I don't know why I associate that word with other people. People have a tendency to like push their traumas on others, like make you like listen to them, and so maybe that's why I've always associated that word with others, because you're pushed to do so. A lot of mine were self-induced, could have been completely avoided. But I imagine my brain has suppressed a lot of those memories subconsciously. I've tried to suppress them consciously for 20 years. So it only makes sense that the brain is also trying to do the same. And then sometimes, like, the older you get, sometimes things happen to you more than once. What do I mean by that? Like, I've gotten a flat tire more than once in my life. And someone might be able to remember the individual, like, oh, I remember this story of this time when my tire blew out. Like, I remember me driving my dad to a workplace one time when we were going down Bobby Jones. Tire blew out. It was scary as shit. First time it happened to me. And we were safe. But I remember that time. But there's like a handful of other times where I don't remember, but I do know that it happened. So those memories kind of like mush together into a blob. You have like no point of time reference. Like I couldn't give even, I could never guess what year what years I got a flat tire, what months. You know, you just kind of know they happen. And this happens for a lot of different things in your life. There's so many things that you do repeative repetitively. There's so many like the power being out right now. You know, this isn't the first time we've suffered a power outage. So like those, similar memories kind of like start to blend in for me, and that really affects me like keeping track of like time and dates and like what order things happened. Like, okay, I know this happened to me, but did it happen before this other big event or after? And that has become increasingly difficult. I'm terrible with dates. I don't ever remember people's birth dates. If it wasn't for Facebook, you probably wouldn't have got a happy birthday from me. Most people don't anyway. You know, that's another good example. I've had 38 birthdays. Before this last birthday, I was having a conversation or made a post or something. Regardless, me thinking I was already 38 got back to my grandma and she was like, "You know, you're 37, right?" I was absolutely shocked and floored. I thought I was 38 that entire year. Thankfully, I was a year younger than I thought, so that was good news. But it really, like, shocked me to my core. So I've got 38 birthdays. 38 different things happened to me on each of those days. So when things blend and mush together, I tend to forget them more. My brain's like, I don't know anything about this no more, so we're just gonna toss it into the trash, is what it feels like. You know, I've been going through my message history with certain people on Facebook, dating all the way back to like 2008, 2007. I'm looking at conversations in 2010, 12, 15. And I don't remember any of those conversations. Well, maybe a couple. I'd be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Couldn't tell you where I was. Couldn't tell you what was happening in my life. And some of the things that I would read, I was like, I cannot describe this feeling to you, but I could not believe that I've said and done these things, whether they were good or bad. And I'm not just talking about like the bad memories. It's like, man, did that really happen? Like, did I really say that? Did I really think that way? It's almost like you're stepping into an alternate dimension. And that's how it feels for me. Every memory feels like the world has changed so much year after year, and it's changing faster and faster. It has changed so much. Like each day feels like, oddly enough, like a different reality. It's very bizarre. And it's like another one issue that contributes to my perception of time is like yesterday feels like a dream. Yesterday does. I should be able to remember yesterday clear as day. I should. I feel like the average person would be able to kind of somewhat tell you like about their day, but it's almost like me trying to recall a dream. You know how difficult recalling dreams can be sometimes. Like you can't, like you're trying to like put your finger on it, but you can't. You're like, I kind of there may have been this. Like no, I can't remember my dream. I know it. I'm trying to remember it, but I can't. Like that's what like most of my life feels like. And you go to bed at night, you go to sleep. 8 hours, however long, will pass, and it feels like it was in the blink of an eye. Why does it feel like it happened in the blink of an eye? Because you don't remember it. And if I can't remember most of my life, but just different bits and pieces, it almost shocks my brain. It feels like it was just literally yesterday when I was sitting at my grandma's on a 9-inch tube TV with the dials on it on the NES playing Mario, the first Mario, sitting on the carpet. It feels like just yesterday I was saving up my Tooth Fairy money to buy Perfect Dark when it came out. But it also, like, even the recent memories feel like they were just yesterday. You get this overwhelming sense that, like, as if, like, almost like no time has passed, but all the time has passed. There's, like, no way to, like, describe it, at least in my head. Our perception of time, and some of it, like my age affecting it, makes sense too. Because, like, think about when you're born, everything you know about the universe and all reality is in the room that you were just you were just born in. Like obviously it's a baby, like, but let's just like hypothetical, like you're aware. Everything you know about the world is in one room. That is your universe. As far as you know, that's all that exists. Now, say you've been born for 30 minutes. All of existence for you has lasted 30 minutes. And I feel like your perception of time, like think about it, your whole life is just within 30 minutes, your entire life. And now here I am. My entire life is 38 years long. So like it's like as you get older, like so like if you were just born and someone told you to wait 30 minutes, that's a lifetime. You know? It's a lifetime and like from your perspective. It really isn't, you know? I don't really know how to explain and elaborate on that more, but it's just like it's something like if you just sit there and think about like for a second, it's kind of crazy. You know, and these are just like handfuls of like examples of like things that I believe has thrown off my perception of time. And this also goes back to like what exaggerates this feeling even more is like I said, like depending on who you're interacting with in this day and age, it's like you're dealing with like a different reality because like everybody's like perception of what's like going on around them is it's literally being fed to them by algorithms, and these algorithms are going to show things that you're more prone to like engage with, and it's just a constant like cycle of you getting fed that. Even as somebody like me that realizes that that's what's going on, you know, I still it still gets me too. You know, I mean, I'm still engaging with these algorithms. So like the things that the internet are putting and yeah, the things that the internet are showing me and trying to get me to engage with are not the same thing that the next person is or the next person. Everybody has their own, it's almost like a thumbprint, you know, like everybody has their own experience with the internet these days. So what I'm getting at is like I have to deal with people differently because their perspective of the world is different. Whether their perspectives are reflective of accurate or inaccurate, it doesn't matter. It does not matter if what you believe is true in those regards. It's just, it's so weird. Because not only does the world change, like, depending on who you surround yourself with, but the world is actually changing day after day, year after year, at an exponential like rate. Like our development as a civilization is just it's increasing faster and faster and faster and faster. So you're juggling all of that, you know. Now that I think about it, if I was like most everyone else and just like picked stuff to believe because it might be easier. Just let the algorithm steer me around like everybody. No, or not everybody, but most folks. You know, I mean, it still steers me around, but I'm going to wake up tomorrow and have zero clue of what reality I'm going to have to deal with. You know what's funny about that? You could go back in time and that statement would still be true without the modern world. You know what one of the good things about not having this like distorted like perception of time and memories is when the power comes on, it's going to feel like all that time being in the dark was a dream. It's going to be like it happened in the blink of an eye. And that's going to be a good feeling. It's going to be almost as if it never happened. It's crazy, huh? Sometimes the memory thing happens minute by minute too. And I know other people experience this. You ever been like driving home from work or something, or just driving in general? It doesn't matter what time of the day or whatever. You ever gone down the road for like 30 seconds and then suddenly forgot that 30 seconds? And then it kind of like scares the shit out of you? Like you were definitely paying attention to your surroundings. You were definitely driving. You're doing something, but it's such a bizarre feeling when you suddenly forget the last 30 seconds and you're like, but was I aware? Was I safely driving? What could have happened in them 30 seconds? Like, if something important happened, would I be able to remember anything about it? Like, that, like, sudden, like, short term memory loss that lasts, like, only seconds is, like, really trippy. I know other people have experienced that too. It's almost like deja vu, you know? Just something you just generally experience every now and then. Spacing out, I guess. It's just weird when you space out and you're like doing something. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. How do I perceive my life given all the things I just described? Well, it's going by so fast. It's going by fast. It feels like it's going by so fast because of the way my memory works these days. When you're so forgetful of even what you did this morning, it feels